Hey, everybody, this is Brett Ingram, and this is the optYOUmize podcast, the show that helps entrepreneurs build their dream business and dream life. Today, we're talking with Jennifer Watson. She's the CEO of Watson Worldwide, keynote speaker focusing on leadership, performance, and wellness, and career and executive coach. I'm super excited because we all want to be able to function at our best, feel our best, and achieve our goals, and she can certainly help us do that. So, with that, welcome, Jen. Thanks for joining us.
Brett, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here and support your community, and I'm ready to rock and roll, my friend.
Yeah, I love your energy. It's so exciting to to talk to somebody when you're upbeat, ready to rock and roll because you have so many good experiences and things to share. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk to you about. There's a lot of questions that I want to ask you, but let's start off with your personal story. Can you share your background, how you started your career?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Brett, I've been a high performer my entire life. I've always wanted to optimize areas of my life to be the best I could be in whatever I was pursuing. And my journey into understanding what performance was and contributing to the world really shifted over the years. I was a high performing two-time All-American track athlete, ultimately got into PT school, ultimately started my own PT practice, and now I'm coaching, consulting, and speaking. And the reason why I mentioned that track is my idea of what performance and mastery was and how to optimize your unique mind and body. For me, that journey was real and it's shifted. And what I realized is performance and optimizing this is really not about getting accolades, getting pats on the back, being someone that you feel the world needs to see, being strong, never falling, all this stuff that we think of as leaders that we're doing, that really a lot of it is really the journey, as we say, of optimizing. And a lot of my performance was really around doing for others at first versus doing it for mastering, contributing with my gifts and what I've learned along the way and how I healed my mental health, because I had a lot of depression, anxiety around that when I was doing it for others. And as I've gone through this journey of still wanting to impact in powerful ways and creating more of a healthy relationship with performance, healthy relationship with my body and my mind, go figure, I'm serving better. I'm letting people see all the ups and downs. We all know as entrepreneurs, we probably fail a lot more than we succeed. They see a lot of that on the backside or the front side, or the backside, the growth. And I've been a lot more vulnerable and open about how to not only optimize this great human machine for all the leaders
Mhm.
I work with, because it absolutely influences how you show up, not just in what you're leading in your team, but in every aspect of your life, but how to do it from an authentic, vulnerable place and allowing people to see the journey of you. And the more that I've done that, not only allowing people see how I've moved myself and optimizing performance for me and seeing the ups and downs, but how much I have learned in the process as well of becoming a healthier leader, a healed leader, a person that optimizes this when things get rough. And I have to tell you, my, I'll put air quotes, performance and my ability to succeed has really changed. And I have a lot of deep fulfillment now on what I've done and what I'm currently doing. Doesn't mean I wasn't so grateful for the things I've moved through, but that I'm in a space of a good relationship with performance
Mhm.
and honestly with connecting with myself. And my biggest goal, Brett, and my biggest passion is to really help those high level, high performing leaders get how to unlock their unique mind and body brilliance, specifically during transition, growth, and change, because that's when you need to really rely on this as leaders. And we go through a lot of transitions and changes. We know that. So if I can help a leader impact in a more powerful way by optimizing this, I'm all about it, my friend.
That's awesome, and I love the fact that you talk about the journey, and I love the fact that you talk about the vulnerability with it. Because I'll tell you a funny story. When I was, I've always had the desire to start a podcast, and
Yeah.
when I first started to think about it, and I laid out all the ideas, and I had everything I wanted to do, I said, "Geez, I'm going to do this for entrepreneurs." I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, so you know what? I know enough. I'm as I started to get closer and closer to launching it. I started to get this anxiety around the idea that, well, for me to do this, I've got to be an expert at everything because if I'm going to be sharing all these tips with people, don't I need to know everything?
Yeah.
And it literally was holding me back for a period of time. And I went to bed one night. I woke up the next day and I just had this sort of lightning bolt moment where I said, that's not what I need to do. I need to share the journey. It's not about the perfection. It's not about giving everybody advice. It's about letting people in so they understand that it isn't a straight and narrow journey, that there are ups and downs. You have great times where it's you feel like it's the best choice you ever made in your life. You have days where you say, I wish I just got a job like all my friends and went along with that. And as soon as I recognized that, all the pressure disappeared because
Mhm.
I said, all I got to do is be me. I don't need to pretend and I don't need to have all the answers.
Yeah.
I just need to engage people in the conversation so they know that they're not alone. And the other thing that sort of occurred to me after I had that thought is, well, yeah, that's what brings people in anyway. Nobody wants that person that has all the answers to every single thing because it doesn't seem real anyway, right? I mean, who do you know that's ever had a path from where they started to where they wanted to go that was totally straight, perfect,
Yeah.
and worked out exactly right the first time? I mean,
Yeah.
even if they did, you can't learn anything from that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love all that messaging, and I think that that's super important. And I think it's so valuable that you recognize the individuality in it as well. Everybody has a different
Yeah. And I love
sort of
what I
experience.
love what you said, Brett, because one of the things when I work on people on how to engage this thing right here, this machine, this human machine, one of the things we start with, which a lot of high performing leaders laugh at me, I'm like, you know, be more of yourself during the day. I'll just give them as a project that, like, when you catch yourself people pleasing or trying to be perfect or do something that someone else wants you to do versus what you feel inside. I'm like, I'll just give them a project for a week of doing that. And that sounds funny, but you guys, that's so challenging for so many people. I say, go back to being the kid self that had this passion inside to grow it. I mean, as kids, before we get layered in the world with how we're supposed to act, air quote, in the world, we have this awe and wonder about ourselves in honestly the dreams we have. And when we as humans, we stack on all these things over the years. I mean, once we get our age, sometimes we go to counseling or get coaches to kind of debride back to who we are. Going back home, it doesn't mean we haven't evolved and moved to another level of ourselves. But the first place I start with people is go back to who you are. And some are so lost, like, I don't know what I like or who I am. Like, great, start playing with things, start getting active in your community and try things that just sound good to you. And that starts this delayering of just being what you said. High performance part of that, you guys, is being majority of yourself, majority of the day, no matter what's happening in the environment. And people are like, that's it. I'm like, you guys try it. And it's very hard at first. We have patterns that come up. We have ways that we think we're supposed to show up as human beings. But when you just practice every day trying to be more of yourself, this starts coming alive. It starts doing more. It starts pulling in more things that you like, and people, places, and opportunities. And you guys, I cannot overemphasize this. In a world right now where we're accelerating, being thrown into AI and technology. And by the way, it's beautiful. Like where it's taking us in, not just in business, you guys, but in life, there's a lot of beauty. But I'm going to say this every day of the week and twice on Sunday. You guys, the human machine is the highest level machine that will ever exist. And we got to make sure we're connecting AI and our systems to that human being. And it really comes down to the leaders that I see actually accelerating their impact, accelerating their brand is intuitively knowing how to pull in human connection in themselves, in their journey of their performance of self in with AI. And this higher level skill set that comes from human beings. And I could go off on that, you guys, because there's so much that we human beings have beyond AI, you guys. So I'm going to encourage you to start with that. If there's any tool I could give you today, I literally just celebrated, Brett, my second TEDx. It was a year ago that I gave my
Nice,
second
congratulations.
TEDx, and it was on the resilience excuse me, on the chemistry of resilience and how to increase your capacity to hold more and still do really well and keep right on trucking and being successful. And one of the things I said to all my nieces and nephews that are young adults now is, I'm like, you guys, like, go back to you. Make sure
Mhm.
that whatever lights you up, whatever makes you feel good in most of you, go after it with all you got, no matter how many times you fail. And that's literally the biggest lesson I could give to the young leader right now that you don't have to waste as much time as I did, is like delayering some of the stuff just to go back to, now that I know who I am, now how can I really elite performance this and help my team do it? And there's so much beauty beyond that. And I just pray that for everyone is just go back to who you are and do it on purpose. And you'll see a lot of magic start happening, not only in you, but how you're influencing your team, your family, your community, and beyond.
Yeah, it's great advice. And, the static and the fatigue go away because you're not trying to pretend.
Yeah.
Playing pretend is hard.
Yeah.
When you do that long enough, it does wear you down. And I
Yes.
think that's one of the issues you see in the social media realm these days is that if you're putting on a persona, trying to pretend to be someone you aren't, you
Yeah.
might in the short term be able to generate a following doing that or make some money or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it gets exhausting because you're hiding.
Yeah.
And when you can't be yourself, you always are on stage.
Yes.
And even the best performers in the world need downtime. They need
Yes.
breaks. They need the ability to charge the batteries. And so, super important. So, I know you earned a scholarship in college. You mentioned it. You were a two-time All-American track and field. Full disclosure, I'm a track and field guy myself, not nearly at your level, but I did it in high school and in college. So I got to ask you, what events did you compete in?
Yeah, so I will answer that, but what you just said before, I have to say something to you. It's so true. You guys, when I teach flow state and high peak performance, I've done it as an athlete, as a high performer, as a business leader. 90% of it is energetics and psychology behind it. I have people doing my frameworks, doing this food stuff, doing different physical activities to optimize the brain, taking breaks when they should. Like, I'm still low energy and exhausted, Jennifer. And you know what I find? That they're faking it. You guys, there's so much energy that goes behind not being yourself. And a lot of times, on top of that, we're avoiding conversations and avoiding decisions that throw ourselves out there. And I find when I work with people, because I work on the structural, the systems to optimize the leadership performance of your team, but the background stuff is what I work on the most. Is you guys, what are you not showing up in that you really want to show up in, but you're afraid of? What decisions and conversations are you not having with people because of fear of rejection or fear of not doing it like everybody else does it? You guys, the energetics and psychology behind that is real. And that's where I start with people when I start working with them and breaking patterns before we even get into the external things of optimizing performance. So I had to say, because it was such a great point, Brett. So I loved it. And the reason why I mentioned it too, bridging into what you were just saying, I ran track at 800 and 1500. Those were my sweet spots. Did the
Oof,
four.
brutal.
I always say it's the long sprint. And you guys, I was
Yeah.
on a team at Wisconsin Madison where we were, well, he had that even before I was there. There's about a 10 to 12 year period that Wisconsin Madison was ranked in the top 2 to 3 best middle distance teams in the country. And all of us were at least minimum All Americans, and many people on my team were actual national champions, and some went on
Wow.
to the Olympics. So for me, even though I was an All American, that was like the bare minimum. But at the time, I didn't realize how good we were till years later. But the reason why I mention that is, you guys, it's so much. It's so amazing how I take a lot of things I learned as an athlete into what I do now. We all know that the high level athletes, once you're at that stage and everybody's good, it's a lot about mentality. It's a lot about the psychology. And I remember even then I was learning about the psychology of how you show up in your physical space. And, those that did the best and learned how to master their mind and their body at the same time consistently were the ones that consistently won. And usually the ones that had more of a mental edge were the ones that won consistently. And the noises we create in the background of who looks good on paper and looking at numbers and knowing every game, every race is different. It's a level playing field once you get there. So it's so interesting. Some of the leadership things I've learned, some of the performance things I learned, I was even learning at age 18, 19. And that's what helped me move into finally becoming an All-American, is when I started understanding the psychology and the mental edge mastery that was necessary to be good, but also enjoy, you guys. It's not just about conquering and thinking you can do it. It's actually playing like a kid. Once I moved out of, like, this is all about a D1 school and they expect me to win, and going, I love to run. I love love to take the mastery of what I've crafted and display it for people to have their own motivation of like, if she can do it, I can do it. When I got out of my head and really moved into, I'm doing this for fun and I love to run, and is when I actually moved into a space of being able to be at a high level consistently. When I got out of my head and in my body and just became a kid again, and the real reason why I was doing it versus for everyone else. So thank you for mentioning it. There's an amazing experience. I got to travel a lot, went to Europe for the first time at age 19, experienced so much as a student athlete, learning to balance work, aka the sport, with school study. Like, I learned so much about how to honestly live a life purpose and do it powerfully at a very young age. So I was very blessed to go there, have a lot of great memories there for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I love what you said about getting back to the true love of what you're doing, right? Because
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I think sometimes once we start down a path, then expectations
yeah,
start to creep in.
yeah,
And so if we have a skill or we have an ability, we start being performative. We start thinking about what we're exposed to do and what we're expected to do.
yeah,
At the end of the day, if we got into it because of it's a passion and it's something we love,
yeah,
that's what we need to be able to embrace.
yeah,
That's what we have to be able to get back to, because when you approach anything with sort of a childlike wonder and a desire, you don't need anybody to motivate you.
yeah.
You don't need people to tell you, because you want to do it for the sake of doing it. I remember, I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary In Search of Greatness. If you
Mhm.
haven't, I love it. So they're talking to Gretzky at one point, and he said, the question I get all the time from parents is, how many hours a day should my kids shoot pucks in the backyard? He goes, I have no idea.
Yeah.
No, nobody told me to go outside and shoot pucks.
Right,
Like, my brothers were good hockey players too, but they went to the movies because it's what they wanted to do. He goes,
right.
all I wanted to do is play hockey.
Yeah,
And he said, but here's the other like misconception. Like, we micromanage things to a point now where everything's all year round. He said, the minute hockey season ended, my hockey bag went to the bottom of the stairs. My baseball glove came out.
yeah,
I played baseball the other
yeah,
season. Like, I didn't even play hockey in the
yeah.
in the summer. And it's you know people think it's just about the number of reps,
Yes.
right? And it's not. I mean,
Yeah,
that matters. You have to
yeah,
practice, but if where it's coming from is a place of passion, you're on a whole different level
yeah,
than from someone who's being coached
yeah,
or told you've
yeah,
got to do it this way. And
yeah.
so I
I
think
think that
it's a great lesson.
it's such a that is such a valuable point, because I go again, there's so much neuroscience and neurophysiology I work on with people to master this and optimize, and there's reps and there's certain frameworks. But I'm telling you guys, Kobe Bryant said it best. He's like, what has made you the best? And he said, you like, I love what I do. I love what I do. It's easy to go after the games and look at film all the time because I actually want to do that. And what you said is true. When you love what you do, but I also putting this in there, not only in sports, but even as business leaders. I love what you said. When I was an athlete, even though track was my bread and butter, I did other sports and I had summers off. And I'm going to be honest, you guys, I challenged this whole thing where we put kids in a year-round sport, at age 8. And by the way, there's people that I get backlash on that. But you guys, there's a lot of, I'm a PT by trade. There's a lot of injury that can happen with repetitive same movements. But
Mhm.
even beyond that, I always go deeper yet, you guys. Kids, we want to teach them to explore and get to know themselves and have breaks and have fun and not be all intense reps. There's balance to that, and showing them at a young age that they can't do that leads to burnout of something they actually end up loving and then end up hating. And I think it's the same thing in business, you guys. We think we have to high perform and work 14-hour days, fit whatever it is, and burn ourselves to the ground, and it's a feather in our cap. But then we end up hating the thing that we went into, hopefully because we loved it. And ultimately, you guys, we don't perform as well. I see it all the time. You guys, I don't even work that much. I remember my first book I read and I loved it because it aligned with even how I trained. That I was very potent. We weren't working out 8 hours a day. But the reason why we were good is we were potent and we were aligned. We were few hours of it, then we let it go. I read The 4 Hour Work Week. I remember when I read that book, and it was the first book I read as an entrepreneur. And I started realizing how much I optimized my performance and my love continued to be more sustainable when I was more like potent. Like, what are the big levers? What else can I delegate so I can? It wasn't 4 hour work weeks I was having, but you know what I mean? Like, I was actually
Yeah.
getting that refined state of how can I make, again, I always go back to this, my mind and body in my team to work well and want to engage and have fun and still high performing and do it in a way where we're working hard, but then we have breaks. And that's so true in sports, you guys. That's how we do best in sports, you guys. We honestly eliminate injuries, we optimize fun, you decrease anxiety. Same thing as entrepreneurs. I will argue that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I saw a post on that where someone's like, hey, I love what I do, so you better be willing to work 20 hours a day. I'm like, I would never say that to anybody. I 100% disagree with that. And it's not how the brain and body works. It wants to play. Did you know, Brett, your brain actually wants to be bored? Your brain wants to be bored. It needs boredom. It needs breaks throughout the day, many times throughout the day, to actually spurn on creativity. Same thing with your body. We can't burn to the ground. We talk about moving to our peak, right? For the big
Hmm.
gain, it
Yeah.
needs rest. Like we go against like these physical things we know, and research has been around forever. We still have this mentality, and it's something we have a pattern, and that's okay. And we have to learn to break it and realign with our communication of our body, saying, this is what it needs. It's so brilliant, Brett. Our brain's constantly communicating to us. And if we actually listen and are willing to move into that space with guidance of sometimes coaches, it allows us to do things when they're hard, when they're difficult, when we want to give up. And again, whether you're an athlete, you guys, and you're young and you're in college, or you're in entrepreneurship, if you're feeling the heat and you're getting kicked down and things aren't working well, start working with a coach for one, but number two, really start listening to your body, that it often needs more breaks than you think to actually reset the system and allow it to get creative, allow it to rejuvenate itself. And when you do, I mean, there's no stopping you. There really isn't. Your world is your kind of like your canvas where you're going to create your art. And like you said, we need your art. We don't need another Jennifer Watson. We don't need another Brett Ingram. We need you. And I like you better that way anyway.
Yeah, no, very, very well said. So you had some success with your physical therapy practice. You started doing that first, but despite that, you weren't happy, which,
Yeah,
on the surface, it sort of seems paradoxical, right? But I've actually met a lot of entrepreneurs who had similar experiences. They were doing something, and even if they were doing it, from the outside,
yeah,
it looked like they were, successful, or, doing what most people would
yeah,
expect them to be happy about doing.
yeah.
Can you share with us why you weren't feeling great about that?
Yeah, well, it goes back to a little bit. I really connected high performing and being good at something to get the accolades, to get attention from people. So I was doing always a lot of things in my earlier performing and success, starting as an athlete, of just getting accolades. And it was never enough. Always just this dopamine rush, like of always needing more. You guys, it was exhausting. I was doing for others, I was showing for others. And by the way, it was really interesting. I want to say this very clearly, everybody. It was an honor. Like my PT practice, the team that I drew in, we healed thousands and thousands of people. I will say that, you guys, it was an honor to watch people go from, injury or illness into optimizing their body. And I was a part of that journey. And the reason why I mentioned that, I opened up in the 2008 crash, and I did that intuitively. Like, I'm like, this is go time. And we made six figures our first year. So there was a lot of external success. And I will say this, I'm a natural healer. That is part of my core being. And I now heal on stage. I get to heal and help optimize people's performance now as a coach and consultant, and again as a speaker. But I will say this, it wasn't that I wasn't deeply grateful for that time and the lessons I learned and the people I got to work with in my team. It was never that. But I was doing it from a space of lack of worth. I was doing it from a space of wanting more accolades to prove that I was valuable to the world. I was doing it from a space of like, look, I'm opening up in 2008 crash, see me. So I feel like my talent was there. I was drawn to be a healer, but my reason for doing it was wrong. So when I moved out of my PT practice and ultimately sold it, I had such a deep appreciation for the lessons it taught me in the journey of moving through depression, anxiety, learning what true performance was, learning what true leadership was, of being vulnerable, of like not of struggling in the background, being honest with teams. So it taught me so much, and the heart for being a healer was there. It's just I was doing it for the wrong reasons. So a lot of lessons in my first business, and I will never not be grateful for that, for the money, for the impact, for the team that I accrued. But it just wasn't from a place that I was being my true self. And I think, gosh, if I would have been my true self, even as an athlete, would I have even healed more people? Would we have made even more money? But you can't go
Right.
back. It's just the lessons of that, right? And so when I moved into coaching, consulting, and speaking back in late 2019, and where I felt God was wanting me to bring my impact to a higher level in a different space, it was just a natural space to go where I could take all the lessons from being an entrepreneur, leading, and also healing a lot of things, the mind, body, soul, and now taking into frameworks that get to teach people and optimizing your unique mind, body brilliance, and how to lead more powerfully with higher level traits, including more connection, vulnerability, being authentic with self, how to break free of patterns of typical high performance and do it for the right aligned reasons, and how much more energy and vitality you feel. Ironically, Brett, I work with a lot of past high level athletes, not all of them, but a lot of them breaking free of these patterns. And I want to be honest, you guys, this is why I believe in coaching, because even though you get it here, maybe what we're saying, but breaking some of those neuro wiring patterns takes time, because you want to go back to what you know and moving. If you're in this space of wanting to create impact with a new business, everyone, or expand your business into something new, and you just see that bigger aligned movement for yourself, it does require you to break free of things that no longer serve you. And if nothing else, journaling about that today, everybody. Like, what gifts, what lessons did you learn from your past experience as an entrepreneur? What can you take into the new one? Getting a coach to help you break free some of these behaviors that you don't want to take with you over here. And there is science to that, there's frameworks to that. And I love to work with people on that. But that's what I would say, that the polarity, the duality of that is, it gave me so much, the practice and what it fed me and how I serve people, but it wasn't quite where I was supposed to be with my deeper purpose. But that's maybe the way we're supposed to be. I believe in, your own choices, but I also believe in predestination a little bit. Like, I had to go through those experiences to teach others, hopefully, how to do it differently and shift more quickly into something you desire. I work with a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, but I save a little part of me throughout the year speaking to young adults in their 20s. So what we talked about at the beginning of this podcast of really being more yourself. How do you optimize that? How do you break free of patterns early on so you can get on your path that we need you to be in? And that's something that just brings me joy. So the paradox of being in a space that provided me so much, it was really learning to be more of myself. And it has been quite a journey and humbling in that. And the failures that has brought on to break me of that pattern, I really am very thankful for now.
Well, yeah, and that's remarkable. And I have to say, in talking to a lot of people, I find there's a really interesting dynamic that takes place that's sort of, in a way, reassuring. And it's that I've seen so many people that whether their experiences along the way were things that were good
Yeah.
or were bad externally, right? The way that you would view them. So maybe they looked like triumphs,
Mhm.
whether the person felt that way or not, or maybe they were struggles. The fascinating thing about it is they always seem to be able to take a piece of each of the experience and it leads you to where you are, whether it seems accidental or not, and whether it's cause and effect is hard to determine. But I know even in my own career, I've had, sort of some zigs and some zags, and things have been a little bit weird. And I've thought to myself at times when I was doing particular things, you know, this isn't really what I love. And I don't really see the value in this going forward. Like, how is this going to serve me later?
Yeah.
The irony is, years later, I'm doing something I love, and something clicks in my head, and I realize, wait a minute, part of the skill that I have here, part of the ability, part of the experiential knowledge is something that came from that experience that I didn't value at the time,
Mhm.
but now I recognize it did all sort of, and so we sort of become the sum of our parts in that way. And there's something poetic about that and amazing. And it's a pattern I see over and over. So it
Yeah.
can't just be coincidence,
You know, I
it's
this is why I love the entrepreneur journey. It's truly a self-development book in accelerated time over other
yeah.
people. I will say that. Like, all of us are learning, but for entrepreneurs, we're mirroring triggers and thoughts and questioning and doubts and fears all the time. So it's like this accelerated development book. I really truly believe that. But what you just said is true. And I I honestly believe that, the entrepreneur, I so do this too, because it is true and truly an act of courage to step against the grain of what people think that you need to be at a job for 30 years with a picket fence and two kids and a dog and whatever. And by the way, I'm not ripping on that. There's plenty of people that love that. And I want to say that, you guys, that's a beautiful thing. For some, at changing work and course every 7 years, I did that. Like, is what feeds you. And what I'm going to say, whatever it is that feeds you, you guys, you can move into that space, but it's going to require you to step in with one step, having no clue how it's going to turn out, having no clue. But I'm telling you, that step leads to the next momentum, and you're going to regret if you don't. And listen, I've had close family members, including my sister, holding her hand before she passed away, and that's always the questions, you guys. I should have done that, or did I do that soon enough? And we hear this all the time, but I'm telling you right now, everybody, if you're feeling that you don't want to be in the person that's 30 years at a pension, with a job that you hate, that you want to, so you guys, there's so many side hustles. We live in a culture now, you can do that. And by the way, I say this all the time because I work with people in transition all the time that are kind of getting their side hustle going. I'm like, you can still use your current job for practice in coaching, practice in some of the things you're doing, and or do 2-3 hours after work on this thing, this passion project. There's always ways of doing it, you guys, that doesn't require a lot of overhead, but there's always ways in transition. So no matter who you are, if you're desiring to step into a different field, whether it be you want to be an entrepreneur or go into a completely different field than what you graduated with, I had many friends that have done that do nothing with their degree, right? I'm going to encourage you to do that. Again, we go back to and circle back to what we talked about at the beginning of this show is, if there's nothing else I can give any of you for momentum into this week, if you're lacking clarity on what you want to do, but you don't want to be where you're at, if you're exhausted being fake, but you want to try to be real, but you don't even know what that totally is, there's a bigger purpose for you, but you're really exhausted, you have too much going on, you don't even know how to start. I'm going to say this to all of you: just experiment this week once a day with something new and see if you like it. I don't care if it's going to a one network event. I don't care if it's trying to play the violin. I don't care if you're just exploring a new hiking trail. I don't care if it's you download, a series YouTube of how to start a business. Whatever it is, I encourage you to just try it and then feel. And what I mean is, does it light you up? People are like, oh, when you talk about emotions, like, you guys, I'm not talking about being emotional. All of us, men, women, black, white, male, female, young, old, our bodies communicating to us all the time, either hell yes or hell no, all the time, you guys. We just don't trust it. So when you do something and that lit you up and you feel more energy or more creative or more connected to the people around you, that's a hell yes. If it's like, it was okay, then that's probably a no. And you just have to experiment and go back to that childlike wonder if you haven't done it for a while. Just do that, and you will start taking steps in clarity and seeing some movement forward. And again, I'm such a big believer in this, you guys. Thank God for Tony Robbins that started with this like 45 years ago. Like, I believe in coaching beyond sports. It's so funny how we dropped that back in the days when I was born, like after athletes, they're just kind of, okay, you're good, you're an adult. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm always learning. So get a
Yeah.
coach, get someone to help collapse time for you and accelerate the process. And this is not me, putting a one in for me. It's for any coach. Find the person that aligns with you, that could potentially support you with whatever that is: a life coach, a business coach, a leadership coach, a wellness coach, whatever that is, to move it forward faster. Put your money into it. You guys, put your money into it. Stop wasting money on Starbucks. Guys, I'm just throwing that out there. Like, we say all the time, we don't have the money and time to do stuff. Yes, we do. I did this, you guys. I remember my first coach said, yes, you did. He threw it in my face. I looked at my credit card statement. I looked where I was wasting money. You guys, I found ways. I got resourceful. I bought my first coach, and it was scary, but I started down that path, and the rest is history. You guys, we all have enough time. We all have enough money. I guarantee you with where you're at. Okay. We just do some of the things I talked about. Start saving money. Start looking at some side things on the side that you could do. Look at your bank account. Be honest with yourself. Where are you wasting money? I was like dropping like $200 a month on alcohol, and I didn't even drink alcohol a lot. You guys, I like only would do it on the weekends, but it was like with dinner. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dropping so much money on something that's not moving the needle forward. You guys, I'm just being honest. Like, all of us, that if you're middle class or above, have things that we're wasting on, guaranteed you. Okay. And there's ways of investing in yourself at small increments every day if you just look really honest and get super honest with yourself. So explore this week on Wonder Like a Kid. Look at doing some side jobs, exploring, saving some money, looking where you can shift money and your time. And I'm telling you, you will start seeing some momentum. It may not be big at first. I'm not going to lie. You guys, you may fail at first, but if you have that passion in your heart to move into something different, keep your eye on the prize. You're going to have a lot of failures. You're going to have a lot of slow times. Yeah, there were times where, I was knocking through the tunnel, right? Don't wait till that last inch and you turn around, right? A lot of times the momentum's coming, but it requires you to put in the time of just putting yourself first. So you guys, I'm here to support you. Like, I'm your number one fan. I always will be. And your crazy, crazy goals, I'm going to be your number one fan. Find your people to support you as you're kind of going through this and wondering if you should. But no matter what, you deserve to be out there as your fullest self, because that's your actually most powerful self in a lot of ways, physically, emotionally, spiritually, entrepreneurship, and beyond.
Yeah, I think again, it's great advice. At the end of the day, it's about setting priorities for what matters. And
Yeah,
if you always give in to the instant gratification of something that, might be valuable right now in the moment, but you sacrifice, doing the things that
yeah,
are really beneficial for yourself, look at those as investments in yourself. And, the whole coaching, the self-education idea, it is amazing to me that we accept it just as a rite of passage in sports.
yeah,
But when you get
yeah,
into other aspects of our professional lives, people are like, well, why would I spend money on that?
yeah,
Well, I mean, do you want to get better at something? Because it isn't that you couldn't learn it yourself.
yeah,
It's that the value of a coach
yeah,
is that they're able to accelerate and give you a shortcut. So
yeah,
it takes you a lot less time to get there. And
yeah,
at the end of the day, even if we don't feel this
yeah.
way in the moment, time is our most scarce resource.
Yes,
And
for sure.
so, you've got to find the ways that you could put the energy and put the focus toward the things that you want to do. So, um, are there warning signs? Like, let's say somebody says, "Okay, I love what you're saying, and I want to take a leap. I want to, see if maybe this like traditional corporate, job life thing isn't for me, but I'm not really sure. How do I evaluate my own life? Are there warning signs or things that we can look for in our lives or careers that let us know we might not be on the right path?"
Well, and that's such a great question. I'm going to say this, whether you work for someone or not, everyone, you're going to have hard days. Like, it's just, I don't care what environment you're in, even if you're on your passion project, that's part of it. So I just want to put that out there, but it's not daisies. And I know we've kind of said that, but so far it's really zooming way out and asking better questions, right? Better questions give you better answers. And it's really looking at overall, like, are you happy in your current, if we're looking specifically at a job, are you happy at your current space, like day in day out? When you look at, like, I call it in a 30-day period, do you find that most days you're hating it? Like, that's different than going through hard stuff in a community or in a business or in obviously a setting where maybe all your team's going through changes. But it's really being honest, like, am I truly happy? We have to ask ourselves harder questions. Okay, that's going to help you. For one, am I happy? Okay, that, and honestly, just be like, with my job, am I truly happy? Do I go to work in energy and vitality? Am I always saying? And it's like, if it's not, then we can go deeper yet. You guys, number two question I would ask is this: how's my physical health? Many times, everyone, we think that eating crappy food, not exercising affects our physical health, which it does. You guys, it absolutely does. But often the third component is obviously what we're doing day in, day out. Okay. Not just what we're eating, not just if we're exercising or not, but the environment we're in every day affects us mentally, emotionally, and physically. And when you ask these questions, you guys, I want you to listen to your body and how it responds. Just like I just said with the first one, are you happy? You're either going to feel contracted, you're going to feel low energy, you're going to feel anxious, or you're going to feel like, I love it. You guys know what I'm talking about. Just sit with it. Always pause between the questions. Am I happy? Number two, like, how am I doing physically and mentally and emotionally? Pause. Your body will contract. You'll say pretty good or average, or I'm doing great. Then, okay, then you can dissect that mentally, emotionally, and physically. Your body is always communicating to you mentally. Well, I feel stressed all the time. Okay, emotionally, I feel always anxious. Physically, honestly, it's really hard. I'm feeling low energy and all that. You start getting a connection. Okay, how is that connected to what I'm doing at work? I have high stress at work. Is it mostly coming at work? Like, you can go a little bit deeper with that. So asking a little bit deeper questions. Number three question to ask is really, do I feel like I'm showing up in my truest self, my most powerful self, majority of the days, whether it's good or bad stuff is happening, whether you're successful or not that day. You guys, I want you to get this. This is the third question. It's not about did you succeed that day at work? It's number three. Am I showing up as my truest self, highest self every day? Do I feel like I'm doing that in my current job? Those three questions, you guys, there's so many more I go deeper on with a lot of my clients, but it starts allowing you to really ask hard questions, feel your body will respond, and actually your body and your brain will start giving you a lot more answers, even give you more questions to go down the rabbit hole. So am I happy or not? I'm talking specifically about work. What am I mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically connected to work, right? And number three, am I really showing up as my best self at work, in my highest self, no matter again if you're doing well or not? It's very separate from that, because remember, you guys, hard stuff is going to happen even in entrepreneurship too. It's really knowing, is your true self being lit up? Is your contribution being lit up where you're currently at? Now, again, there's deeper questions to that. And I get very specific with people depending on where they're at in their career, what is going on in the current business they're working with. But those three things, and you start journaling about it, your brain wants to give you the answers. The body decides, the brain executes. And what I mean by that, when you ask the question, the body will decide and give you an answer. Then the brain starts getting creative, like, oh, maybe I could do a side job and get out of this sooner. So don't do it the other way around and get in your head. When you journal and ask questions, it gets you in your body to start dealing with some hard emotions like, ooh, I'm feeling the reason. I'm feeling the reason. You guys, that's what the body's for, is to give you the answers to decide about upon. If there's anything else you guys are going to write down today, body decides, brain executes. When you ask yourself tough questions and you let your body give you the answers, honestly, no matter how hard they are, and decide from that space, the brain can execute. Okay, I don't like where I'm at. Can I do a side job? Execution. Can I start doing things at work? Maybe practice like coaching on them. Like, does that make sense? Your brain starts giving you ideas of how to move out of that. But it has to come from first tough questions, be ready for tough answers, journal about it, and let the body decide what you need to do next, everyone. It's literally that simple. We are the ones that make it complicated and get in our head. If you find you're getting in your head with like, I don't know, no, get in your body. And I teach a lot of that, you guys, as entrepreneurs too, is always moving and techniques to get back in your body. We're constantly thinking of the future or behind what we did, and we're doing this versus get here in our body. Our body is very brilliant. It's very intelligent, and it'll give you an answer in a big problem, aka air quote, everything's the same to the body, or a bigger problem, smaller, big problem. It's going to give you an answer, and it may be a tough answer, but when you can breathe and process it, it'll give you a way out. Your brain always knows how to get it out. Just make sure you're not reversing it. Body decides. It gives you the answer, brain executes. And when you do that with those three question prompts, it'll move you through this transition a little bit more effectively. And then getting coaching support to kind of ask deeper questions, move through and see the blind spots that you don't see, break free of some of the patterns are key that allow a coach to collapse time. But at least those three question prompts will allow you to start creating a little bit more awareness and some micro decisions you can start making to move forward in the transition of the impactful career that really is more aligned with you.
That's great advice, and appreciate the tips there. I think it's definitely an important exercise for people to test out, just to see, see where you are, sort of take your own internal temperature. So, all right, so where can people find you, your products, your services? Where can they connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm the most active on LinkedIn and Instagram. On LinkedIn, it's Jen, Jenn dash Watson. There's a lot of Jennifer Watsons out there, so you got to put Jen, Jenn dash Watson. On LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, it's that. On Instagram, it's the Jennifer Watson. I only answer my DMs. My support team does not. You can go to my website at jen-watson.com if you're looking for me wanting to come in and speak at your next event or workshops, or you're wanting to explore potential opportunities to work with me. Definitely would love to have that conversation with you. Or if you have questions on this episode, I want to make sure you guys transition into the impactful career you desire. It's never too late, within the lifestyle you crave too. Because remember, we're all about playing and having fun as well. So honored to be here to support with anything that they need for sure, Brett.
Perfect. Thanks for that. All right, I have one last question I have to ask because I always want to know what everyone's going to say. What's your number one tip for success as an entrepreneur or a business owner?
Man, I'll go back to what we talked about today. I'm going to steal Dolly Parton's quote. Find out who you are and do it on purpose. Find
Love
out
that.
who you are and do it on purpose. And the rest falls into place if you trust that. Trust what your body's saying, and the journey gets really exciting and fun from there. Find out who you are, my friend. Do it on purpose, and the world will be your oyster.
Love that. That's great advice. Perfect. Thanks. But that it's just about time to wrap things up. I want to thank you again, Jen, so much for sharing all your insights and great tips with us. Visit her website at Jenn-Watson.com for her speaking, coaching, and podcast, and connect with her on LinkedIn. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And as always, remember, no matter what you want for your business and your life, don't compromise, optYOUmize.